I made a video about 11 different types of cat litter that's on the market and how they all suck. I still use the same litter that I talk about in that video. I haven't found any litter that I think is worth trying since then. I do still use walnut litter. The brand is called Naturally Fresh. They used to be owned by Blue Buffalo, but then Blue Buffalo sold it to a walnut eco shell company. So it's separate from Blue Buffalo now. And I've been using this one, I think for over a year now. I came across all different types of cat litter because I used to work as a cat sitter for 3 years before I started my online business. So I've come across it all, I've used it all, physically used it all, not just looked at pictures online. I have experience with all of these litters. Hey friends, it's Jess and Jericho. And the reason that I like walnut is because they use the walnut shell and not the walnut itself. And I know some of you might be concerned, isn't walnut toxic for cats? So they use a different species than the walnut that is toxic for cats, and they use the shell and not the actual nut itself. And another concern is walnuts producing aflatoxin mold, and it's less likely for this to happen when it's the shell compared to the nut. And other pros include that it's clumps with a food grade bean-based ingredient. This is a clumping agent that they add to the product. And I emailed them to clarify, so I would always suggest emailing the company because if it isn't available on the website, you might have to ask them. A lot of people use proprietary blends, and that's why they don't really want to share that information because they don't want companies to copy what they do. So just email them and clarify, what makes it clump. Cats prefer clumping litter as well because it allows you to remove those clumps from the box, whereas non-clumping litter, it requires you to mix the dirty litter with the clean litter. The cats don't want to walk around on their pee-pee and poopy litter, just like you wouldn't want to walk around on your waste either. That would be kind of similar to using the bathroom but not flushing it. You're not getting rid of the waste, you're just kind of mixing it around. The brand does have a walnut pellet that doesn't clump, so if maybe your cat's using a non-clumping pellet form of litter and you want to transition slowly, you could try their pellet and then ultimately transition to the non-pellet, the one that actually clumps, if your cat's super finicky. Just like with food, you want to transition your cat to anything new very slowly. And this is actually on every single cat litter bag, but a lot of people still ask me about this. So you would transition very slowly, starting with the new litter on the bottom and then putting the current litter on top. That way, your cat looks at the box, sees it, and goes in and thinks it's the same. But then as your cat digs, it kind of mixes with the new litter, and you gradually increase the new litter and gradually decrease the current litter so that your cat gets more accustomed to it each time he uses the box. And they have an herbal attractant, so that might be helpful for kittens or senior cats. But otherwise, I would suggest unscented litter because the cat's nose is about 40 times stronger than our nose, and cats are very turned off by very strong smells. And think about the cat, he's in the litter box, only inches away from the actual litter, plus he's digging and burying. So your cat might be turned off by litter simply because there's a scent. Really, the only reason that scented litter exists is because we don't like the smell of pee and poop, but we shouldn't cover that up. It's still pee and poop, like there's gonna be a smell. It's our responsibility to clean, regularly, not rely on this heavy perfume scent that our cat really doesn't like. The other pros of the walnut litter is that it's biodegradable and compostable. In the business, on their website, they say that they use a facility that's solar power, and they are working on a biodegradable bag. It's said on their website by 2025, they should have a biodegradable bag. So I would say that is a con. It's not biodegradable yet, but at least they have plans in the making to make it biodegradable. They also plant walnut trees, so they aren't just taking, they're also providing as they take. Now the cons of walnut litter, honestly, these cons exist with all types of cat litter. So there is some tracking and it's dark. A lot of people have said to me that their cat's paws were brown and black and then it was all over the bathroom. Well, an easy way to fix this is to use a rug or a litter mat. I personally use a rug instead because it's softer on the paws and it's easier to wash. So I used to use a double layer litter mat, which is great if you want to use, a litter mat instead of a rug. So I would suggest the double layer litter mat because the litter falls through and then you just slide the litter out and it's easier to clean. Whereas those mesh looking ones, they're good at trapping the litter, but you can't get it out. Basically, there's going to be litter stuck inside and they're not that easy to wash. Because if you do wash it, there's going to be water that's in the nooks and crannies, and then that water could probably stay there. And then mold can grow and bacteria can grow. So they're good at trapping litter, but they're not good at cleaning and keeping clean. So I would suggest either the double layer litter mat. What I use is the Ripple Rug bottom only. So the Ripple Rug is a great activity mat. I also have that and use it as a toy. Highly recommend it. They also sell the bottom only and the top only of the rugs. So I use the bottom only and just put that under Jericho's litter box because it's made for cats. I throw it in the washing machine once a week, cold, delicate cycle, and then hang dry it. And it does trap the track litter because your cat walks on it and the litter falls off of his paws when he walks on the rugs. And they're very large, so they take up a lot of space around the litter box, instead of those mesh ones that are like 8-9 inches long. The rug is very, very big. I think it's between 30 and 40 inches long, and it's very wide as well. Another con is that it can get dusty towards the bottom of the bag, because I think everything that's smaller settles and there's a little bit more dust. And I have noticed some dust when I'm pouring the bag out into the box after I clean it, and then also when I'm pouring the litter out of the box when I'm cleaning it. So, it is dusty. But again, that's pretty much a con with every type of cat litter. It's kind of unavoidable. But I would say that the pros of walnut litter outweigh the cons, especially when you compare it to other cat litters out there. For example, clay. Bentonite clay is not safe to breathe in. Silica dust is not safe to breathe in or ingest. And then there's crystal, and it's also not biodegradable. We have to mine for it inside the earth. It's not compostable. It isn't biodegradable. And there's crystal litter, which is also made out of silica. Again, not safe to breathe in. And then there's wood-based litter, and wood dust is not safe to breathe in over long periods of time. And you have to think about it like, remember your cat's in the litter box 2 to 3 times a day, right? Digging and walking around, his nose is only 3 or 4 inches away from the box. So you have to think about it. It's constant inhalation of that dust. And then when he grooms himself, he might ingest it. And this is multiple times a day, every single day for days, weeks, months, and years. So that buildup over time is much, much greater than you and me just, smelling. Well, actually, yeah, even us, because I scoop Jericho's litter box 2 to 3 times a day after he goes, clean it once a week. So I use a face mask covering, but you can't put a face mask covering on your cat. So you have to think about that gradual ingestion of that, both inhalation and consuming it. And with the walnut, yes, it is dusty, but it is safe to breathe and it is safe to ingest. I mean, it's not ideal for them to ingest it or breathe it in, but at least it's better than the alternatives. And then the other cons of other ones is there's corn, wheat, cassava, and grass seed litter. I used to love grass seed litter. These starchy ingredients can inhibit mold growth, specifically aflatoxin mold, which can be deadly, can lead to jaundice, liver problems, and it, again, can be deadly. There are tons of pet food recalls where there's aflatoxin mold, and the recall happens because pet parents are reporting that their dogs, this happened recently, their dogs had liver problems, and many of them actually died. There were about 100 deaths and 200 sick, or the numbers are opposite, I can't remember. But it was a recent recall within the last year or two because of aflatoxin mold that was present because there's wheat and grain ingredients. So anything starchy is going to run the risk of aflatoxin mold. And when it starts, it's microscopic. So maybe you're cleaning regularly, but sometimes those clumps break apart and sometimes they stay in the box. So you just want to be mindful of that. These are just different things that we should consider when we take care of our cats. And I'm still on the hunt for the best litter. I'm not here to say that walnut litter is 100% perfect. There are downsides to it, but compared to the other litters that are available, I think it's the best. I would love coconut litter, but the one brand that makes coconut litter, they have a clumping and they have a non-clumping. And I asked them, if both of them are 100% coconut, how does one clump and how does the other not clump? They said that the clumping litter contains bentonite clay. But they don't say that on their website. I've emailed them several times within the last few years to update this on their website, and they have not. I've asked them in their Q&A section, I've left a review multiple times about this. They do not publish it to their website. So I personally do not trust that brand because they are not being transparent about the cat litter that they're making. The other brand that made coconut litter, their warehouse had a fire, so they stopped making it completely, and now they just have a mess cleanup. So if there's an accident, you put the litter on there, like kind of like sawdust, how it soaks up the moisture and then it's easier to clean up. But they don't make litter, they just make cleanup. Then there's also hemp litter. I tried that. They say it clumps, but it doesn't clump. So that's unfortunate. Hemp is another resource that I would love to use, but unfortunately it does not clump. And the ones that I tried did not cover up the smell. Even when I cleaned it, and it's non-clumping, so it's difficult to get all of it unless you're cleaning out the litter box every single day. Maybe I should be. Maybe I should be. But I don't at this time. Again, I think that walnut is the best option that we have right now. Again, I'm still on the hunt for the perfect litter. Please let me know in the comments what you use and how it works for you. And you can check out my 5-minute a week litter cleaning routine right over. Yeah. Thanks for watching.